Hey y'all, welcome to the first episode of Bluegrass Race Up. Today we'll go over Travis Twitty versus Keith Hackney, Denny Hamlin versus Ross Chastain, and more. Let's go. Hello everyone, my name is Bryce Hunter. I drive the number 9 Xfinity car. I race. I also do the broadcasts on Mondays and Wednesdays with Steve and BJ up in the Ultimate Dirt TV booth. I'm also the director of content here for Bluegrass iRacing Series, and I have Alex Healy with me.
Yes, sir. I drive the number 97 Silverado in the Truck Series. I'm the social media director when I'm not stuck in Facebook jail, and spot for Dave Farmer on Wednesdays in the Cup Series.
Yeah, this last Cup Series race at North Wilkesboro, man, it was a long one.
Yeah, it was. With your 200 lapper there, I mean, you're cutting quick laps, and that it was a little messier than I expected it to be, but luckily on short tracks like that, the caution laps go by really quick. So it was a fun one. My guy Dave had a pretty good run. I think he ended up P3 there. Gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head who won. Let me pull that up. I want to say Peyton Hubbard.
But won the Truck Series?
No, in the Cup Series.
I think it was Aaron Smith.
Aaron Smith won it.
Yeah, I think he won by a substantial margin.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, he was. Yep, he was out 6.5 seconds over Alex Huffman. Cedric Hunter took third, Dave Farmer fourth, and Doug Newbigging came home fifth.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who came home first in the Xfinity Series.
Yep, let me pull that one up. Let's see here. Seasons. Let's see. Brandon Robertson.
Robertson won. That's right.
Yep, he took it by a half second over Mo Abbott with Doug Neal sitting third. Radburn Shutters fourth, which is one of my favorite names to say in the entire series. And Adam Lancaster was fifth, which I know he was. I guess he was pretty happy camper today. He is a Kevin Harvick fan, I believe. He actually works for Stewart Haas Racing as well.
Yeah, he told us when we first started, when I met him back with Bluegrass iRacing season 2, that he worked for Stewart Haas, and that was during Kevin Harvick's dominance back in 2020. And man, it's glad to see Harvick and that crew back happy again, and looking forward to see what Kevin Harvick has for the rest of the field, because I mean, every week seems like Stewart Haas Racing gets faster and faster and faster. So especially that 4 car. So
yep, and a guy like Harvick that's been dominant in the past. I know he's won, I think, 50-some races in his career, and he's been hasn't been in victory lane since it's I guess been like a year and a half or something. But you let a guy like that get momentum heading into the playoffs, and that could totally change the entire landscape. I know the Fords have not been super fast this year, but I know Logano's shown speed at times. And then Harvick, he's been consistent and it just hasn't had the speed to really get him over the top. I know Briscoe had a win earlier on in the season, and he's been good on the road courses too, which I know is going to play a role. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a sign of things to come, or if we get back to Chevy Toyota dominance it seems like we've had all year.
Yeah. Well, going back to Bluegrass, we got we got a dirt track for the trucks, and we got 2 road courses coming up for the Xfinity and Cup Series, but that's for a later time in this show. So let's move on to our next subject. Green flag or red flag? Here's how it goes. Green flag means you agree. Red flag means you disagree. Here we go. All right, Alex. Green flag or red flag? Travis Twitty gets wrecked by Keith Hackney coming to the checkered at Dover.
Man, this is being our very first segment with this. It's going to be funny because I kind of got to say, I'm going to say yellow flag on this one, and I know it's not an option. And
don't pull a TJ and go, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to explain myself. So And obviously after that race, uh, the tensions were high to say the least. A lot of things got said over the week following it, but going back and looking at the replay, at least from the replay I saw, and I know that different people can see different things based on their internet connection and all that, but Keith Hackney, he never actually touched Travis. He might have arrow pushed him some, but there was no actual contact. So that I get being mad where Twitty's sitting, because you see that happen, and during the race you think, oh, this guy came up here and tapped me and turned me. But on the flip side, even though Twitty didn't get dumped like everyone first thought, at the same time we've got Keith, who has already won 2 races this season. He's up in the top in points. I think he's up like 5th or 6th in points. He's locked into the playoffs, barring him just not showing up anymore. And he's battling Twitty for 2nd place. Does it really change anything for Keith to go from 3rd to 2nd? No. Does it change things for Twitty to go 2nd to the end of the field? Absolutely, because he's fighting for his playoff life. He's got to go out and get a win, or he's got to figure out a way to point him in. So from that perspective, I definitely understand how, we'll say, peeved Twitty was with that. So
Yeah.
it kind of goes both ways. But then after that, they got into the war of the words, and some things were said, and they're kind of borderline, and we won't get into that on air or anything. But this is like we're going to talk about later with Denny and Ross. I think this is a thing where this is going to continue on for a while. These guys are around each other on the track. They're not going to give each other any room. I don't know if anyone's going to dump anybody or anything, but if Twitty ends up not making the playoffs, if I'm Keith Hackney, I do
I'm watching
everything
out.
in my power to not be around him, because he could end his playoff run, and that's kind of a thing we're looking at with Ross and Denny. It's almost a 1-to-1 parallel with what we're seeing in real life right now, which makes it even better. And like, I know guys are pissed off and everything. As a guy in that series that is not involved in this rivalry, I love it. I love watching it. I love all the trash talk. It brings another level of entertainment to the league, and I've loved every second of it. So I hope they keep on going at it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would say I am red flag for the on track, but green flag for off the track.
I can get down with that.
Yeah,
See, we're both splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Neither of us committed to
Yeah.
full green or full red.
Yeah, so I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here. So my thing is with the whole Keith Hackney deal, I was in the booth when this happened, and on my replay, it showed contact. But
See,
on Steve, on one of the commentary guys, POV, he shows after the race, it showed a gap. On Twitty's replay, it showed contact. On Hackney's, it showed a gap.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was kind of alluding to, because just the only replay that I saw, it did not show contact, but I know that there's some variance in what people might see. So if Twitty's replay shows him getting hit, 100% red flag.
yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate that it happened to Twitty, and that was going to be his best ever finish here in Bluegrass. But it also ended a lot other good trucks that day. I remember watching the highlight video that watched 2 trucks drive under a truck that's upside down in the air. So that and then just I don't know, just the way I don't understand why Hackney would be running Twitty that hard, especially if Hackney already is submitted in the playoffs and is up in the playoff rankings. I think he's like 5th or 6th in points, and Travis Twitty needs all the points he can get. So
that's where I'm sitting for Keith. There's not a lot to be gained there, I guess, is what it comes down to.
I mean,
so
Justin White.
Go ahead.
Justin White, the winner there, was already past the checkered flag, so it wasn't like he was going to win the race.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's kind of weird because you see Hackney come down and kind of look like he hit the apron too and trying to get his nose under Twitty. Well, Twitty already had that bottom line secured and is coming off of turn 3 into turn 4. And it just looked like contact from the broadcast playing it in real time. But yeah, I am against the on-track incident, but I am all for the drama in the driver's chat.
Absolutely. I sometimes I just get on Discord and I just hope that someone said something while I was gone.
Yeah, we have, for you guys who don't know Bluegrass, we have a drivers only chat after races we go into and kind of voice our opinions on everything and listening or just kind of reading through all the comments and stuff and listening to what Keith and Travis and what the whole league is saying to each other about everything. It's kind of hysterical to watch. But that kind of gets us into our next topic here. I'll go and start off this one. Green flag or red flag. Keith Hackney shows up to North Wilkesboro with Travis Twitty's headstone on his hood after off-track altercation in Discord.
Man, absolutely. Slam dunk, 100%. Maybe the greenest flag I'll ever throw. I love Twitty. We get in fixed lobbies together all the time because I think we're kind of hovering around the same I rating, give or take a little bit. But man, the promo video he had cut for it with the Undertaker's music. I mean, I loved every bit of it. I'll say, like,
that low key made the video.
Yeah, because that 100 for me, like when I was a kid, I watched wrestling, and that's like from that era. So that really did it for me. I will say the paint job it's okay. It wasn't unbelievable, but it got the point across. And buddy, I am all for it.
Yeah, same. I'm green flag for everything. Unfortunately, when I made the highlight video for this week, his paint scheme did not load up. It loaded up his old one. I tried to go back and download his old scheme or his headstone scheme, but it just wouldn't download for me.
I think what it is, I meant to say this, because there was one of the highlight videos you did, I was at a point where I was changing schemes every week, and I think when you edited one, I had already changed to my new scheme, so it showed my new scheme at the prior track. So I think it just comes down to what the guy has set in trading paints. I'm assuming that's what it pulls from because of that, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but I'm sure they still, after the race and stuff, that conversation restarted in the Discord server about the paint scheme and how upset Twitty was. And I mean, he didn't have Twitty's headstone. He had a couple others. I think he had,
Bobby Hall.
Bobby Hall's. I think he had didn't he?
No, he had my teammate Ron Morris, which I'm not sure why I didn't think he was involved in it, but he was on there, and Alex Huffman was on it, I think, and he doesn't even race in the series.
That's kind of, but yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, the paint scheme itself was kind of lacking. Not gonna lie to you, it looked like I could have went on a free editing software and did it myself. That's unfortunate because it could have been really good.
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping it.
That's how I do all my paint schemes. Yeah. So I'm not going to super knock that, but just as far as delivering the message,
it worked. Yeah, definitely message received, and Hackney has already been warned by Twitty to not get close to him at Knoxville this week, and so I'll be in the booth for that. I know Healy will be on track, so look forward to see how that's going to turn out, but. Moving on here, green flag and red flag in NASCAR in Pocono 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago already?
Yep. Yes,
I think it was. Denny Hamlin puts Ross Chastain in the wall off of turn number 2.
All right, I'm gonna say red flag, and what I'm saying red flag to is I don't think Denny put him into the wall. And here's why. One, he never made contact with him. He definitely did use him up. He pushed him to the limits of the track. But all Ross had to do was let out. And I don't think that's in his DNA. And I think that's what makes him a great driver. But in that moment, if he would have just backed out of the throttle, he would have, lost a few spots and fell back in line, and we wouldn't even be talking about it. But because of the way that he drives, how aggressive he is, that probably was not a thought that ever crossed his mind, especially when it's Denny is the guy that's running you up there. And maybe I'm a little biased. I do like Denny a lot. I'm Kurt Busch fan, so he owns 2311. So I'm a little bit biased, but I like Ross from when he was Kurt's teammate last year. So uh, no big bias there, but ultimately I think for that specific thing, if they didn't have all the history from the season leading up to it, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it. But since they had the deal starting, I guess, at Worldwide Tech and St. Louis. They've had a couple other times when they've been close together. I think at Atlanta, I think they got together as well. So
Yeah.
it's been a thing that hasn't just gone away after a race. So with all that history, I'm sure Ross had some thoughts in his head and wasn't willing to just let Denny get by, and ultimately it hurt himself more than anybody else, which I guess at the end of the day, he still finished ahead of Denny because that's when they got
The
disqualified for
disqualification.
having a piece of tape on their car, which I have opinions on that too. But ultimately, that it is what it is.
Yeah, I am. Man, I would say I'm green flag with it because even though I'm kind of in lines with you where it doesn't look like Denny retaliated, I think it sent Ross a message that Denny's not here to mess around anymore.
100%. I agree with that.
Yeah. And I mean, even though Ross technically finished ahead of Denny with barring the penalty, if Denny Hamlin did not get qualified in another universe, that I would consider that retaliation. But since Danny was DQ'd for that piece of tape, I don't count this as retaliation. But I'm green flag with a message that was sent to Ross.
Yep,
Ross,
100%.
Ross has pissed off a lot of drivers this season, and even though he has, I think, 3 wins or something like that, he has not made any friends. And I don't expect him to make the Final Four because of this.
I don't either. Which is something we're seeing from Keith.
Yep.
He has no friends in the truck series. He's never done anything wrong to me, but I've seen how he races other guys. And when we're in the playoffs, which I fully anticipate, I'm sitting I think 5th right now, so hopefully, barring a catastrophe, I'll be a part of it. But I don't foresee anyone helping him out at all. And when you got half the field pissed off at you, more than likely, when push comes to shove, you're going to be the one that ends up getting shoved.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of similarities between Hamlin and Chastain and Twitty and Hackney, especially on the on track stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm kind of along the line with you when it comes to the Twitty and Hackney deal. When it comes to the Final Fours, I don't think Hackney is going to make the Final Four. I really don't. I think
it might not. It might not even be Twitty. I mean,
he's made a lot of drivers mad.
Yeah, just guys like me sitting on the outside. If I see this guy, I mean, he's no doubt about it. He's probably the fastest guy in the league. But there are times when he drives a little bit over his head, and it puts him in bad spots. We saw that happen at Wilkesboro last week. I mean, he was a dominant truck, and he self spins because he's pushing pace to the max at all times. And I'm not going to say it doesn't work because the guy's got 2 wins, but there are times when you got to dial it back and be happy with a second or a third and take your points and come back and get after it next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going over the post-race fights. I mean, it's, Wes Wiggin, Alan Duranco, David Farmer, and all these guys just not having it with Heath, and
Yeah.
I don't expect these drivers to race him any cleaner than what they already have, if they race him clean at all. Bluegrass does have a retaliation thing, a rule in their a rule though. Mm-hmm. But my advice to them is do it accidentally.
Yeah. If you do it, you better at least make it look like an accident. You better have an alibi.
Yeah. Because if you just blatantly dump him and it's obvious, I believe it's probation for 2 weeks and no qualifications. So, it could be wrong on that, but I think
I think it's actually 4 weeks, and I know this because I suffered this penalty last season. But another thing I was going to say.
Actually, I think it might involve an actual suspension. I think. Because I think we have a driver in the... Actually, let's do this. Green flag or red flag, Brian Terry intentionally wrecks a driver on the backstretch.
Red flag. I didn't see it with my own eyes. I actually never even saw the replay of it. But my spotter, Dave, told me when it happened, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? I mean, I like Brian a lot. He's a great guy, but typically he's running around in the back of the field waiting for an opportunity to present itself to take advantage of. And I don't know what happened between, I think it was him and Adam Newbert.
What track was it at? I don't exactly remember either.
Oh God, now I can't even. It wasn't Wilkesboro.
What was it last week?
It wasn't Wilkesboro. It was the week before that, I believe. Let's see here. Schedules. Dover? What?
No, I think you're right. Dover was everything that happened with...
Yeah, maybe it was Wilkesboro. No. I think it happened at Dover as well. I could be mistaken. But
Did you have a week? Oh, I think we had a week off. I don't know.
Shit, I don't know, man. But either way, wherever we were, not to disparage Brian or anything, but for him to put himself in that position, because I think I gotta look, Newbert. Well, I thought he was higher in points, maybe not. Yeah, he's sitting 17th according to iRacing, but he's shown speed at places, and I don't. I'd have to talk to the guys about it, because from where I was sitting, it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. It was really surprising to hear over the radio. I'll say that much.
Yeah. I am red flag with everything about that. Excuse me. I don't think anybody should be intentionally wrecking somebody under caution, or intentionally wrecking people at all. I say that, but I have beef in another league that I'm going to have to contradict myself on that. But that's a whole nother discussion.
It's always different when you got skin in the game.
Yeah. But I mean, I've never, and even in this league, I'm racing in this Bluegrass series for, in real world 2 years, but 4 seasons now with Bluegrass. I don't see this, as a way of retaliation. Like if you have a problem with somebody, talk it out, get in a server together, just you two, scream, yell, do whatever you want, but don't intentionally come down, because that had happened to me last year. Championship race, me and another driver got into it. I'm not gonna name the other driver. Him and I are cool now, but we got into each other. We were both battling for the lead, and we both ran out of real estate. I mean, as race control said and everything, he spun in front of my bumper and kind of shot him up to the wall. I tried to slow down, hit my brake, trying to keep him in front of me, just so he wouldn't bounce off me and go back up into traffic and cause more problems. But that didn't happen. He ended up bouncing off the wall and was in the pit road for a long time. And then heading into stage 3, I was running second, catching. I don't know if I was catching Jason or behind him a couple seconds, but he comes back on track. And coming out of turn 2, he was already up to speed, and then turn number 2, coming out turn number 2, he tried to, I knew something was going to have to happen. And then coming out the back stretch, he kind of ran me down to the bottom, and then I had nowhere else to go, so I had to spin him out. But that ended up what killed my car. And that next restart after that caution, I was so airtight from that incident that I ended up running at second in the points, and Jason ended up winning the championship. But Jason was fast all night, so I don't know if I'll be able to catch him anyway. But yeah, seeing that happened to me, and with it just being a racing incident, I don't know exactly what caused Brian and whoever he wrecked to have that issue. But I just hope they were cool now and no more problems come with that, and be able to move on. And hopefully, how much, even though how much I want to see more incidents happen with Hackney and Twitty, I don't want to see other drivers involved. I don't want to see them two go at each other and wreck other drivers. I don't want to see, any more slurs being thrown out or any other like that that's already been said. I want them to continue to race each other hard and race each other, clean, most respectful way possible. I know everyone's mad at each other, but keep her clean. Just don't involve any other drivers. That's all I have to say about that.
Yep. I don't disagree with any of that whatsoever. And just to expand a little bit, as far as hitting guys under caution and stuff, that I've never done it. I've had it happen to me, and this might sound a little counterintuitive, but man, I'd rather the guy do it to me when we're actually racing.
Yeah.
Like, because when you're paced around on caution, I mean, you're probably talking strategy. You're not really paying attention, and then like some guy comes and dumps you under yellow, and you get incidents for it, and your car's tore up from it. It's just extra frustrating when you're not actually racing.
Yeah, and my other league too, I was wrecked twice at the race by him specifically. We were at Southern National, and he wrecked me twice. And the league knows that I owe him one, and they're all for it as long as I don't wreck any other drivers. So,
yep,
yeah,
I know we have a no retaliation rule, and I'm not saying that people should go retaliate, but if someone does something dirty to me, sooner or later, whether it's not giving them room or just racing them extra hard or even doing something a little dirty, I'm good with that.
yeah, not giving him any room.
Yeah, that's how NASCAR has always been, and that's part of what makes it great.
Yeah, and that's another thing about Bluegrass too is we're able to race each other and have these rivalries, and know for a fact that if retaliation did occur, then actions will be taking place to keep that from happening.
Yep, and typically it doesn't get that far because just like NASCAR, it's kind of a self-policing sport.
Yeah.
Where once someone starts racing you real tight, not giving you a lot of room, typically you're not gonna put yourself in that position to get raced hard by them, or maybe you're gonna give that guy some extra space. And once you start doing that, that's message received basically.
Yeah, and there's a lot more ways to give and receive messages other than wrecking people. I mean, not only,
for sure.
Yeah, like with Bluegrass too, we have a weekly entry fee. So hearing, watching these drivers come out here and wreck and get retaliated on and get involved in someone else's mess, knowing that they pay the money they paid already for this, not alone the season and what they paid for charter, and then just that week alone, not to like, especially if they did the practice during the week and all that to be gone to waste because you got involved in someone else's retaliation. It's just, it is what it is. I'm all for it at the same time. But
you're lighting money on fire when you do that.
Yep.
If you go out and you take yourself out of a race by hitting somebody, or if you're on the receiving end of it, which is the more frustrating side, obviously. But someone just threw your $10 away, and if that causes you to miss the playoffs, they kind of threw your $35 away because you paid the charter. And if you're not in the playoffs, that's not what any of us are here for. We're all trying to get in the playoffs and win a championship.
Yeah, like I said, I'm all for it. but just don't wreck anybody else. Bro, are you serious? So my "Are you serious" moment of the week was actually Dover. So our color commentary guy up in the booth, his name's Steve McMillan. He runs Hotel, run a couple other leagues. Great guy, love him to death. Gave me the opportunity to be in the booth with him, but he did the most awful DW impression I ever heard.
I heard about it. I didn't actually hear this one. I don't know. I usually, so when you guys do the broadcasts after the race, which my wife probably hates this because she watches my races live, and then after the race, well, after I shoot the shit with everybody, then we'll go to bed and I'll turn the race on and watch it and listen to the broadcast and everything. So I must have fallen asleep before I got to hear this god awful impression that I've heard about.
Yeah, man, Steve, if you're listening to this, just know I love you. But it sounded like he tried. It sounded like he knew like how to, like, what it said, and just to know how he did it. It sounded like he was all nasally. It's like it was funny. It was funny, and for a Dover race, those races were long. They weren't necessarily the most entertaining races to broadcast. It gave us something to laugh about, and he kept carrying it on and on and on and on. And then eventually in the cup race, we were throwing puns for names. And I can't remember how we did some. But yeah, it was that when he did that, I ended up laughing so hard. I told him, like, you're gonna be the "Are you serious" moment of the week, and he was like, okay. But yeah, it sounded like, if I can go back and find it and upload it, I will. It's in one of the broadcasts. There'll be the Dover trucks. I think he did that on, and then the trucks or cup. I don't remember. I think it was more like trucks, but it sounded like he was talking nasally.
just not like Darrell Waltrip at all.
It's not like Darrell Waltrip at all. He tried. I had to commend him. He did try. He's a dirt guy, so
Yep. You got to throw it out there and try, and if it doesn't work, well then, just like this podcast, if it sucks, we'll throw it straight in the trash and we'll do it again.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's my "Are you serious" moment.
Yeah, I didn't have one locked and loaded, but I'm just gonna make this a pile on Steve segment. We're coming for you, Steve. I'm sorry, but we're kind of past it now. But at the beginning of the season, when he would say my name on the broadcast, he would say Alex Haley, and I've been called this, or my name's been mispronounced this way all through school. Specifically in English classes. And I'm a Western Kentucky college graduate with a degree in English. There's a very famous author named Alex Haley, and he wrote Roots, which is a very, very famous series of books. There have been TV shows made after it, all that stuff. So the first couple races, I think it was after the first race. Afterwards, after I finished the race, my wife comes in here and whatever, tells me good job. She says, by the way, they keep calling you Alex Haley. I was like, all right. So I go into our how you pronounce my name channel and say, hey, it's Alex Healy, and I did like the phonetic spelling. I did like HEE-LEE. And then no one ever responded. I don't expect anyone to respond in there. You just read it, you're good. And then it happens again next week. I'm still Alex Haley. I'm like, son of a bitch. All right. So then I sent another one in there, and I like caps lock smash, and I did the Healy, HEE-LEE, like 3 times in a row. And then I hit him with the, like, I'm not Alex Haley. I didn't write Roots. It's Healy. And then, so the next broadcast, I guess he made a pretty big deal about it and had some fun with it. And but then I think I had a really bad finish that race. I think I got wrecked out, or I screwed up something on pit road, something like that. So a couple races later, I finally get my crap together, and I'm up running top fives and top threes, and I get in the booth for the first time, and Steve hits me, and he's like, "Hey man, every time I call you Alex Haley, you're running good, and when I pronounce your name correctly, you're
You
running like
bad.
crap, man."
Yeah, I remember it. Yep.
He's
Yeah.
like, and at that point, I was like, "You can call me Alex McFartface for all I care. If that is what it takes for me to run well, then that's totally fine." Luckily, I've had real solid runs the last 3 weeks, and he's been pronouncing my name correctly. So I hope I've gotten that monkey off of my back, and he can keep saying my name the right way, and I can have success without that extra voodoo in my back pocket of him saying my name wrong, and then I got to hear about it from my wife.
Yeah. And he would also say, you know, the sayings like I don't want to really do it. It's like suey, you know. He'd go Healy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh god, dude. I think that was the race after I was in the booth, because then after that race, my wife comes in here after the race, and she's like, every time he says your name, he's like, Healy. I was like, I mean, I guess he's saying it right, so I can't get on to him for that.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do Keith Hackney's actual paint scheme, the headstone.
Yes.
The Are You Serious moment for this week for Wilkesboro is that I love the idea, but it was not executed well.
Yeah, and I think you'll agree with me. What really made it was that just the promo video that was cut for it with Undertaker music.
Yeah.
In that setting, I was like, this is sick. I love being a part of this.
Yeah, but the paint itself did not lean up to the hype. I was expecting it to be, because I didn't see it personally until later on, because I was unfortunately working, so I didn't get to see the actual, like, the truck race. Excuse me, till afterwards, and I ended up seeing the promo video. I was like, oh, because so people are hyping it up as like a Gravedigger-esque paint scheme. You know, Gravedigger has like Max D and a Toro Loco on the guy's wrap.
But it's also an iconic paint scheme. I mean, Harvick ran it on his car last year. Whether or not you like monster trucks, if you like racing, you probably know what Gravedigger's truck looks like.
Yeah, and that's kind of the impression I was going at, you know. But I mean, you know, it was a good idea, and he got his message across to Twitty. But man, that was not it was a cool idea, just not executed well at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was a terrible paint job. It was just mediocre.
Yeah,
and you know what? Every Sunday when we tune in, there's a lot of mediocre looking cars on track, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time, Hackney, go hit up Alex Huffman at Huffman Design. He'll be able to hook you up.
Hit up Huffy, hit up Scott Fritz, one of those guys. They'll get you looking right. Don't hit me up, because I'm gonna do it in trading paints with a default base scheme.
Yeah, same. Yeah. All right, Bluegrass picks of the week. Trucks. They are at Knoxville. Is it Roxville Raceway or Speedway? I think it's
Raceway.
Yeah, Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa. That's about 4 hours north of me. The trucks are going to be there. Second time on dirt. Who do you have?
Well, you know, we've talked about him a lot tonight, but Keith Hackney comes from a dirt background. I think he's got something like 6,000 I rating on dirt. If I had to pick anybody, I'm picking him, but I'm not super confident in it, because I race dirt some. I dabble in it. I think it's fun. I'm by no means an expert, but compared to some of the guys in the league, I'm a little more experienced. But some of the guys in the league, you put them on a dirt track, and it's like the first day, like they're kindergartners, and we threw them into a 400 level college course. They're absolutely problems. So no doubt, I think Keith will be the fastest, but I cannot guarantee that he'll survive whatever chaos ensues, because I know lap traffic is gonna be a thing. Like, I'd be surprised if he runs. If he qualifies on the pole like I expect him to, I would say within 3 laps he's going to be running into lap traffic, and that's when things are going to get real spicy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you kind of stole my pick there, but if I had to pick a second driver to challenge Hackney, I think I would try either Daniel Worthington, because I know he has a little bit, and Daniel Worthington and Wes Wiggin, they both have some dirt background.
Yeah, and another one, Bobby Hall. I know he drives a street stock dirt car in real life, so he might have something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, all three. I mean, hell, if I had to pick one, I'll go Bobby Hall Jr. tomorrow.
Yeah,
he's winless. But
yeah, he doesn't care to mix it up a little bit.
Nope.
He'll trade some paint with you, which I think is a necessity on dirt tracks. If you go out there and try to race real clean and come home with 0x, well, you're probably coming home, in the top 10 at best. You're at some point you're going to probably have to piss someone off.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next race on Tuesday, the Xfinity Series hits up the hills of Mid-Ohio. Who do you have?
Man, so this is the series that I'm least familiar with. I don't know who the road racing aces are in here.
I won this race last year. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
Don't pick me though, because each time I get pressure on there, I fail. So don't.
But I have raced with a lot of these guys, and I'm looking at the standings right now, and I see a really fast guy that has no wins. I raced with him. I got my first win in Bluegrass. I passed this guy on the last lap at Pocono, Michael Robinson. Every time I line up with him, the guy has speed. He has speed everywhere. Seems like sometimes he has not great luck, but
So who? I'm sorry.
Michael Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Which this is so going back to last year, last season he raced with us in trucks, and everyone was calling him Michael Robinson. He's a pretty quiet guy. I don't know if I've ever even heard him come over the radio, to be honest with you. And he's racing in another series that I think he raced up in Xfinity one race, and I was race control with it with Jason. And our broadcasters at the time, they were calling him Mikkel Robinson, or no, they were calling him Michael Robinson. And then Jason corrects them and says, no, it's Mikkel Robinson. So they call him that for a couple races, and then eventually at some point he keyed up. He's like, it's Michael. Because it's Mikel, so it's like this big back and forth about saying this guy's name right. But regardless of how you say his name, Michael Robinson is fast, and that is my pick in Xfinity this week.
Well, that's a good pick. He's been strong. He's I know he's better on mile and a half than he is on anything else, because I was teammates with him last year with Jeremiah Hobbs.
Okay. And so am I saying his name right then?
It's Michael? Well,
okay.
Hobbs would say Mikkel. He would say Michael. Tomatoes, it all says it.
It's a Haley instance.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, I would pick myself, but I can't do that. I'm gonna go with Brandon Robertson. Him and I did some practicing together early this weekend, and he was able to run consistently and clean, in the practice laps, and we did a full fuel run together, and he had no issues. He was right there with me. Tire fall off, as long as you take care of your stuff, it's not going to be a problem here at Mid-Ohio. But I'm going to go with the two of Brandon Robertson. He's already won. He won last week. He has 3 wins on the season.
Yeah, he's on fire right now.
Yeah, he's still behind. He's in second place in points, but he's fully secured in the playoffs almost until the final round.
Yep.
But Yeah, I'm gonna go with two of Brandon Robinson just because I know I've been racing with him since season 2 of Bluegrass, and he's actually the season 2 champion of Bluegrass, the Cup Series.
Gotcha.
And I
Which
think he,
I'm looking at stats right now, or looking at the standings, and no doubt he's been fast. He's got 84 incidents though. He's got to keep that bumper clean. That I think that'll be very important because I know you make a mistake on a road course and you're out there sliding through the grass and losing 30 seconds. So you got to keep her clean.
yeah, absolutely. So moving on to our final paved race of I
Man,
don't think
I
the
I misspoke. He doesn't have 84 incidents. He has 84 bonus points. I'm an absolute moron. He has 30 incidents. So disregard that entire point I just made because it is
57. Wow. Nikki,
man,
my bumper cleaner.
You're dirty, man. You got twice as many incidents as I do. I'm the cleanest man in this whole thing. So
I don't know. There's someone to cut that might have something to say about that.
well, I was gonna say, I'm looking Scott Fritz in Xfinity. He's only got 20 incidents. Well, he's only raced 8 races, so I'm gonna disqualify him based on that.
Fair enough. Okay, so final race of the week. We have the Cup Series at the Hills of Sonoma Wine Country out in North Cali. Who do you got?
Yep. Man, this is. I feel like I'm probably taking your pick because this is I think a pretty easy one. I have firsthand experience in the truck series when we went to
I
Coda.
do too. I know exactly who you're gonna pick.
Yeah. So when we went to Coda in the truck series, this is a track. Last season was the first time I ever raced it, and I know it's a very technical track. I logged probably 1,000 laps in the race leading up to it, and it served me well. I think I finished in the top 5 there last season, and I've improved since then. I'm still somewhat green to iRacing as a whole compared to some of these guys, but I had Coda circled as one where I really thought I would be able to win that race. So we load into practice, and man, I was a second and a half faster than everybody. I was like, man, I'm gonna blow the doors off this field. These guys don't have a chance. And then at the end of practice, here comes my pick, Aaron Smith. He's chosen he's chosen to race down that week. And like I said, I was a second or a second and a half faster than everybody else at Coda, and he was 2 seconds faster than me. I
Yeah.
mean, it was absolutely unbelievable. I didn't have anything short of just absolutely dumping his ass, and I don't think that would have. He probably would have still came back and drove around me, and probably would have waved at me on the way by.
Yeah.
The dude is obviously incredibly talented on road courses, and that's got to be my pick this week. He's already got 4 wins this season. He's leading in points by what we got 69 points, a very nice gap, you might say. He's only got 20 incidents on the season. I mean, the dude is fast everywhere, but on a road course where some other guys struggle from time to time, that I got to roll with Aaron.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. For you guys who don't know, he did go for the Triple Crown circuit of the.
He didn't get it. He wasted his time screwing my race up.
Yeah, he went for the Triple Crown at Coda, won the truck race, the Xfinity race, but finished second to my pick. I'm gonna go with the Coda winner of Cedric Hunter. He did something that Coda race that I don't know will ever be duplicated ever again. He ran the whole race without changing tires.
Yep, that is a thing that I have committed to memory, as I am a spotter crew chief in that series, and that seems to be a thing with these next gen cars. Is
no tire wear.
I wouldn't say no tire wear because they get better as you go for quite a while. It seems like.
Yeah.
And then it finally levels off. But God, you guys we don't run enough laps, I think, for that fall off to ever come. And I'm sure there are some other guys that have noticed this. So it'll definitely make it interesting.
Yeah, once I came into the after the booth and looked at my SDK that the podcast gives off, I was astonished when I saw he didn't take tires at all.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there crew chiefing for Dave. I think he finished in the top 10 in that race, and I had him take tires at the stage. I think that was it. He might have taken some later on. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we see that at the end of the race, and like, well, I know where we lost the race at, not necessarily on speed, even though he wasn't on those guys' pace, but like we probably gave up 5 spots just by taking tires.
Yeah, and if I remember right, Sonoma doesn't chew up your tires like Coda will. It's not as flat. There's a
Yeah.
lot more grip, or not. There's less grip at Sonoma, but it's not as flat, so you're not heating up your tires as much. That's what I feel. But I
Yeah,
know
I would
wouldn't.
agree, except for maybe I guess we'll call it turn 2 when you're coming uphill. You can get pretty light there.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, there's a lot. I wouldn't say that they have banking necessarily, but I guess a slight extent where if you hit the turn right, like it kind of sucks you down to the curbing a little bit where you really feel like you're hauling ass.
Yeah. And I kind of expect him to throw that same, unless iRacing threw an update out, which I don't think they have.
Which I don't think they have because so I went to the Indy road course race I guess last weekend. I guess now it's last weekend, and I have a chat with a couple buddies that we talked during the race and everything, and Dale Jr. even remarked on the broadcast that basically the first 20 laps on a set of tires in the next gen car on a road course, they're improving. So I think that is just a true to life. That's how these things react in real life. So I can't imagine that iRacing would change that.
So to counter that, do you think Jason needs to up the laps of the race?
Let's see
Because
how many laps we're gonna run. Let's
that
see.
doesn't even seem plausible. The race is already long.
Yeah, especially at road courses. Yeah, you guys they're running 45 laps, and you know it's going to take a while. They got stages at 10 and 20. I mean, I think for what we're doing, it would be really out of whack with how we do every other race to jack up the laps on this one. I think that's just how it is. I mean, I'm looking at 45 laps. I, I wouldn't take tires. I mean, if you can conserve a little bit, you know they're going to fall off eventually. But the stages at 10 and 20, depending on
Right.
fuel usage, I might not even come in at the first stage.
No, it'd be interesting to see if he's able to repeat that strategy here at Sonoma this week. But yeah, it's really interesting to see, the different strategies at road courses, especially with not taking tires or anything like that. And the big one too is, taking tires or fuel before the stage and staying,
If you're going to come in 2 laps before, if you're there for a guy like Aaron, not that he is going to need to do this. I assume he's going to be in contention one way or the other, barring something crazy. But if you're a guy that's sitting there with at least one win already, yeah, I mean, you got to go get your stage points and get you set up for the playoffs, especially if you're not a road course ringer like Aaron or anything.
Yeah. But yeah, I had Cedric Hunter beating Aaron Smith Wednesday at the road course at Sonoma.
I'm looking forward to that showdown. I think that might be. I know we've talked a lot about Twitty and Hackney. That might be the battle of the week across all 3 series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all these 3 races this week. I'm really looking forward to the trucks at Knoxville. I don't. I'd rather. I know you're not. I know the broadcasters are. They're mainly dirt guys. They're ready for it. I don't know much about dirt, so I'm excited to learn more about it.
I'm comfortable driving around in it, but what I fear for Keith is what I fear for myself, and it's the unknowns of the guys that are not comfortable on dirt and how their inexperience will impact the outcome of the race.
Yeah, that's ultimately kind of what I fear too about most of these guys. But I'm excited for my race at Mid-Ohio. As you know, I won that race last year. Been practicing a lot for it. I know some neat tricks and some things on that track to help me out, and what settings to use. I look forward to competing with Brandon Robinson and Mikkel and a lot of the other. I mean, I can't leave out Winters and Lancaster and all these other guys. Mauer, I think, is going to be there.
Yeah, lots of fast guys, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Mid-Ohio. I think it's going to be the most contested race. But the battle, like when it comes to like the battles and stuff, you're gonna see, because Mid-Ohio, there's a lot of passing zones in Mid-Ohio. Like you have the key heading into turn 1, or not turn 1. You have heading into the keyhole is a big passing zone. Heading into turn 4 is a passing zone. Heading into there's a lot of sneaky little passing zones in there that you can make a lot of moves on.
Yeah, so it's a fun track. It's well designed. It should give us some good racing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then Sonoma always puts on, I would say, at least in real life, mediocre races. But I'm looking forward to see if Aaron Smith and Cedric Hunter have something to say about that. But yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our first episode here at the Bluegrass Race Hub. I'd like to thank our league sponsors, Butt Kicker, excuse me.
Bluecraft.
Bluecraft. Oh, man. Butt Kicker, being a league sponsor for 2 years now. Rocha Jim's Coffee and Huffman Designs. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Make sure you guys tune in for all weekly racing here at Bluegrass iRacing Series every day at 9, or Monday through Wednesday, and at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. And pay attention to everyone on social media that this podcast will be distributed out to, at least YouTube for now. Working on getting out to Spotify and all your regular podcast platforms. And keep an eye out on social media for the recruitment for the Pro Late Model Series that iRacing does put on. Announcement with that. If you guys haven't know that the Pro Series will be racing in conjunction with the World of Thunder Pro Late Model Series for the World Championship. So I would not want to miss that. I believe it's an open setup league. So keep an eye out for that on social media, and we'll be back next week after Knoxville, Mid-Ohio, and Sonoma.